truth, and the truth will set them free. Number 6, need should be built according to the audience's characteristics and circumstances. The different the audience, the more you have to change and build the need differently. And number 7, need building may be hindered by factors beyond the teacher's control. Beyond the teacher's control. For instance, sometimes if you're trying to build a need and the baby starts crying and leaves the room, you can't build the need because the class just isn't with it. So what's the bottom line of this law? The bottom line is build the need. Build the need. The teacher should surface the student's real needs before teaching the content. Before teaching the content. Darlene and I were attending a Sunday school class recently with some friends of ours. We knew everybody in the class. And the teacher that was teaching that class had done a nice job in preparing and was teaching about the temple in Ezekiel. And there's a whole lot of chapters in Ezekiel about this temple, and this teacher did a fine job explaining it. And after the class was over, I said to my wife, I said, sweetheart, we ought to just share with the teacher a couple of the problems in the class because I sense they're not aware of it. So I went over to the teacher and said what a nice job the class was and how much we learned and so forth. And I said, are you aware of some of the problems in the class? And the teacher said, what do you mean? I said, well, this couple right over here, their daughter's in the hospital with bulimia and is down to less than 100 pounds, and they haven't solved the problem yet. This couple right over here, he lost his job 8 months ago, and they're in the midst of losing their home. This couple right over here, his father had died, his mother had Parkinson's disease, and the woman quit her job to take care of that older person, and she was trying to take care of her around the clock, and she was losing it. So we went around every single couple and named a major problem in their home. And I watched the face of the teacher. And I said, what did you think? And the teacher said, I had no idea the church was filled with problems like that. And then my class was. I said, how did the class of today help them? And the light went on. Well, I don't know if it really helped very much. I said, if one of those couples would have come over to your home last evening and told you their problem, would you have gotten out your Bible and taken them to the Ezekiel temple? And the teacher laughed and said, of course not. Well, why not? Well, because I would have seen that their problem was right there, and I've given them the correct biblical answer, and I've tried to have helped them. I said, well, then what do you do when you get up to teach Sunday school? You do the same thing. But my friends, we're not doing that in Sunday school. And we're not doing it in church. Why? Because we think the correct thing to do is to go over the material rather than to meet the need. As we wrap up this first part of the law of need, I want to come back to my study and just have you think one more time about this whole issue of building a need and then meeting the need. Let's take a look one more time, though, at the Bible, at the sermons that we call the epistles. And I have a simple question for you. What do you think motivated the authors to write those letters? Did they just say, I have some information that I want to tell you about? Or were they writing to meet the very specific needs of their people? Think about the book of 1 Corinthians. The church had all these problems, of immorality and of lawsuits. And so what happened? Paul heard about them, sat down and wrote a letter to them to answer their questions. And because of their reaction, a strong reaction to his first letter, guess what he had to do? He had to write another letter back to them. But do you see what happened? Not information I'm going to tell you about, then I hope it meets a need you have. Instead, oh, you have this need. Well, then here is the answer to that need. First the need, then the answer. Do you know what too many of us do too much of the time? I don't know why we do this, but for some reason, we give the answer without even knowing if anyone has the question we're answering. If we just did it the way Jesus Christ and his disciples did it, I don't think we'd have any problems. and we'd probably be catching a little bit more fish. Therefore, the next time we're together in part 2, I'm going to be sharing with you a 5-part method of how to find people's needs and how to think about them, and then how to teach so that they're met. But before we spend that time together and teach you, I have a question. Have you decided to bait your own hooks, or are you still angry when the fish won't bite your bare hook? Remember, friends, it's your responsibility to put the bait on the hook.